And we're back.
Once again, podcast number 31.
This is Kevin over here.
And that's Brian.
That makes me Brian.
We're the horror guys.
We are, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And we're here to do a podcast just for you.
A good one, hopefully.
Yeah.
With movies and stuff.
We saw movies this week.
What movies did we see?
We saw The Invisible Woman.
We didn't see The Invisible Woman.
Well, we did, because she wasn't always invisible.
Okay, yeah.
Quatermass. I'm going to say it wrong every time. Not Quatermass. So you just have to spit it out. Quatermass without thinking. Quatermass 3. Quatermass in the Pit.
Yeah.
Don't Breathe and The Eye. The original Eye. The original Asian version, not the American version.
You know, we got The Invisible Woman where you can't see her. We got Don't Breathe with the killer blind man. And we got The Eye with the blind woman who can see dead people. This is like our special vision episode, just coincidentally.
And Quatermass, who I can't say half the time, still.
But he doesn't have anything to do with eyes.
No.
This time.
No. So we saw the Universal Studios movie The Invisible Woman from 1940.
Directed by Edward Sutherland, written by Kurt Siodmak, stars Virginia Bruce, John Barrymore, John Howard, 1 hour and 12 minutes.
And
Black and white still.
You might think that with the Invisible Man movies that they've had recently, that this was just another horror movie continuing on that, and it wasn't. It was a comedy.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same
horrific
theme,
at all.
same idea, the invisible person and all that, but this one is just strictly played for laughs.
Well, she doesn't go on a rampage killing people, and
You know, I was thinking about this after we watched it. I wonder if, because of the way the times were, they would not allow a woman to be in that kind of position of power.
Yeah, maybe.
Megalomania, ruling the world. Oh, that's silly. A woman could never do that.
Yeah, very much. 1940.
I think that had a lot to do with it, yeah.
Yeah.
But we need to have an invisible woman.
Well,
but she
let's
can't
make
kill
it light
people.
and
Let's
funny.
make it a comedy.
We'll have her be a model.
Yeah, it'll be funny.
Because women are models, and that'll be funny. Yeah.
They worry about that women-y kind of things.
And it was kind of funny.
It was as a comedy, it was fine.
Yeah.
Well, it starts out with George the butler tripping and falling down the stairs.
He does that a lot.
Is there an invisible woman in the room? No, he's just a klutz.
He's a klutz. And there's some slapstickishness. He's definitely a slapstick kind of guy.
Yeah. The door opens and John the lawyer comes in. He says that Playboy Richard is broke, and he forbids Richard from investing any more money on Professor Gibbs, the crazy old inventor who hasn't invented anything useful in 10 years.
But he's working on invisibility.
Gibbs has just asked for $3,000, and John the lawyer tells Richard no, which Richard then forwards on to Gibbs.
Mm-hmm.
George runs the message over to Gibbs, saying there won't be any more money. Gibbs then goes on to the newspaper offices and changes the ad he placed for Wanted, a human being, willing to become invisible, $3,000. He crosses out the $3,000 and runs the ad anyway with no compensation.
Yeah.
Who would want to be invisible for free?
I know.
I wouldn't mind.
She would.
They get piles of letters from people who want to try it. Most of them are jokes and cranks. Gibbs explains that he really can make people invisible. Probably. He made the cat invisible, but it wore off. He gets one legitimate-sounding letter, and he calls the person in. Kitty Carroll, a model, hears the call to adventure and wants to become invisible. She's a model and doesn't care for her job anymore.
Yeah, her Mr. Growly, the angry boss, is not a very good person to work for.
Yeah, she wants to get a little bit even with him.
Although
Mr. Growl.
This was definitely a sign of the times, too. It's a department store model. And basically it's this room where it's like a lounge where upper-class, semi-wealthy women sit, and these models come in and model the latest fashions and the latest.
Just a parade of live models.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like they must have sat around most of the day waiting for these targets to come in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, they probably have a scheduled thing, like every Thursday.
Fashion show.
The fashion viewing for $16.50 a week. The models get. One of them says.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Well, she shows up to work, and Gibbs shows up at the lab, and Gibbs injects her with something, then turns on his machine. It flashes and pulses, and sure enough, she fades away.
And tickles.
It
tickles.
does,
Yeah,
yes.
she giggles a lot while that's happening.
She giggles a lot throughout.
Yeah.
First thing she does is crawl out the window and head to Mr. Growley's place. Professor Gibbs comes in and can't find her. Maybe she fainted?
Yeah, looking
He has to
everywhere.
he has to search everywhere for her. Where she's
and,
gone.
and then the housekeeper says, "Oh yeah, she climbed out the window."
Meanwhile, at
Have you
Growley...
mentioned who the housekeeper is? You didn't mention who the housekeeper is.
No, I didn't, not
The
yet.
Wicked Witch of the West. Yeah.
Margaret Hamilton.
Yeah. Without green makeup.
This came after the Wicked Witch of the West. She looks a lot more normal in this one.
Yes.
Although
she
she's
does.
still a very peculiar-looking woman.
She is. Distinctive look, yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, at Growley's office, he's firing more models. She puts on a dress and scares the customers, then goes on after Growley. Keep wanting to call him Crowley, but it's Growley because he growls.
Yeah.
She tears the place up in a very non-violent manner.
Tells him that she's his conscience come to haunt him, and he better shape up and stop being so mean. And
the next day, he's reformed.
Yeah, it works.
He's nice. He doesn't cheat the girls anymore, and he even gives Kitty the week off. Meanwhile, a trio of gangsters show up at the newspaper wanting to know where the guy who placed the invisibility ad lives. That's my yeah. Yes,
Uh-huh.
The gangsters show up and want to become invisible too.
Well, no, they want the invisibility for the boss.
Well, initially they say they want it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Initially,
Kitty
the
runs
real
the
reason.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kitty runs the gangsters off, and then she reappears. It shouldn't have worn off for another hour, but these things are hard to predict. There's some more straight-up comedy as Richard keeps missing his opportunity to see the invisible woman.
Yeah, he's sort of...
Look, she's invisible. She's not here.
It's a weird sort
She's
of
back.
romance.
The boss gangster, exiled to Mexico, now wants the machine so he can turn invisible so he can cross the border illegally.
And sneak back into the United States and not get arrested.
There-
At least right away.
There's a political joke in there somewhere. He tells his men to get that machine or don't come back. Kitty and the professor track down Richard out in the country. He's gone fishing. There's a funny scene where the professor tries to sneak the invisible woman past George the butler. However, something in the treatment makes her want to drink a lot of alcohol. She drinks a bunch and passes out, turning invisible again.
And there's a connection there.
Invisibility sure does make
Yeah,
you thirsty.
Strong. Well, yeah.
And alcohol
it makes her crave.
extends the invisibility.
Yeah, she's craving alcohol, and yeah, when she becomes visible, if she drinks a bunch, she'll become invisible again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the gangsters break into the professor's lab and start disassembling his machine. They load it on a truck and take it to Mexico.
And surprisingly, that works.
It does.
They make it, right down the
They're
direction.
very careful about it.
Yeah, right down how you took it apart, and they get there and reassemble it.
Yeah.
Except
Because gangsters can do that.
there's a missing
Except
ingredient.
they don't know about the injection. They just take the machine. The next morning, Kitty is still invisible. The professor thinks the alcohol may have made her permanently invisible. He says that's no problem. He can fix it with the machine.
Except the machine's missing.
Well, he
now.
doesn't know that
He
yet.
doesn't know it yet.
The gangsters arrive in Mexico and unpack the machine. They must be really close to Mexico. The professor says without the injection, the machine could do strange things to people. One of the gangsters gets the machine, they turn it on, and his voice gets high. That's all. Just a squeaky voice.
Pretty tame as far as...
Yeah, I was expecting like The Fly or something, and he just comes, talking high.
Yeah.
Richard and Kitty start talking, and the professor comes in with a cure. As she starts to rematerialize, the professor gives her a stylish dress.
And it's not really a cure, actually. It's
He
alcohol.
thinks it is.
Well,
Yeah.
it's an alcohol neutralizer.
Yeah.
It takes the alcohol out of her system.
As she comes down the stairs, ready for a glamorous happy ending, the gangsters break in, now demanding the formula too. Kitty now drinks some pure alcohol and becomes invisible again. This is like chemical alcohol. It's the strong stuff.
So she can take care of the thugs.
Yeah. She manages to trick and knock out all the gangsters, and they all escape, and some time passes. We fade away, happy ending. They come back. Richard and Kitty have had a baby that fades out when they rub him with alcohol. The professor exclaims, "It's hereditary!" The end.
They actually go to Mexico, where the yeah.
That's where the machine was.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if you mentioned that.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
You like it?
It was funny overall. Yeah.
Definitely not horror. More so than most
Yeah.
of the other non-horror things that we've run across.
Lighthearted and funny, and I mean, very dated in the humor, and the relationship, the playboy pursuing the gal who's reluctant, and very very 1940s kind of romance, and the tropes of the way women were treated in 1940 and looked upon by men. And the butler, one of his stunts was especially impressive. He's not paying any attention. There's a 10-foot tall ladder set up next to the stairs, and he's not paying any attention. He trumps up the ladder, falls off head first,
Does
off a 10-foot.
spin.
Yeah, does a really impressive spin, and yeah.
And I think that was probably really him, not a stuntman, too.
Yeah,
that
he was doing his own
impressive,
stunts. Yeah.
He falls down a lot.
Yeah, he's a goof. Yeah.
This is a comedy, and therefore there's no death, no murder, and even the gangsters
one.
all fall down and roll around a lot.
Yeah, even she doesn't actually kill the gangsters, just knocks them out.
There are a few mallets to the head, but it's done in a comedic style. There are a few genuinely funny moments, and this movie is completely child-friendly. Anybody could watch this.
Yeah, pretty tame.
Margaret Hamilton has a small role as Professor Gibbs' housekeeper, Jackson.
And she's a hoot.
Shemp Howard is one of the gangsters, but other than just getting a screen credit, he doesn't really do anything. He's not funny.
Yeah.
He only has a couple of words. He's just there.
Yeah.
It's like they owed him a movie or something, and yeah.
Maybe a contract thing. Yeah.
Charles Ruggles as George the Butler is probably the funniest character in the movie and does a lot of his own stunts and falls down a lot. That's the butler.
Yeah, and he's got some of the funniest lines too.
The grumpy boss's name is, of course, Mr. Growly. It's cute, it's silly, and it's entertaining, but it's definitely not horror.
Yeah. And special effect wise, I noticed one detail that was neat. Toward the end, she falls into a fountain, and Richard jumps in after her thinking, oh, she needs rescuing, and it's like 3 feet deep. So then they're standing there, and there's a hole in the water where she's standing, which I thought was
If
a
you
really
could
neat
picture
effect.
what the water displacement would look like, you could see like
an
a
invisible
hole.
person standing in the water.
They may have used a bowl or something sitting in the water. But yeah, it worked.
was
It'll
really,
look good.
Yeah, a really nice detail that looked really good. Yeah.
Not a lot of like rain or smoke effects like in The Invisible Man Returns last week.
No.
This was definitely a little less serious. Still very high budget, though. This is one of the most expensive films they put out that year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good.
It was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not horror, but worth checking out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about Quatermass in the Pit from 1967? Does that qualify as real horror?
Quatermass in the Pit? It was kind of creepy.
It was, it was definitely horror.
Yeah.
Kind of sci-fi, probably more on the horror side of it, though.
Horror sci-fi.
Yeah.
He's still a space expert. When there's space issues, who do you
When
call?
the aliens call,
Quatermass.
Quatermass will do it.
Quatermass.
Director Roy Ward Baker, written by Nigel Neal, stars James Donald. Not the same guy as the other two movies. This guy is maybe a little older. He's got a beard. He's kind of chubby. Sort of a dark-haired Santa Claus looking guy.
10 years have passed.
Andrew Keir and Barbara Shelley.
And they invented color in the last 10 years, too. It's a color movie.
This is 1967, so it's a lot newer than the other two.
Yeah.
First one was 55. The second one was 57. Took 10 years to get this one done.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't had a fourth one since. So
they
who
could.
knows?
They should. Yeah.
Spoiler alert, you like it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of middle of the road on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had its good points.
It
had its slow points, too.
It's a mix, but overall, yeah. And I saw this one, probably not when it came out, because I would have been 2. But
Yeah, I saw this on late night TV at some point.
At some point when I was very, very young, and I didn't remember it very well. So it was nice seeing the whole thing.
The only thing I can specifically, absolutely say I remember is the big bug thing in the sky.
See, I didn't remember that at all. I remembered the ones they find in the ship.
Okay.
And those creeping me out. Yeah.
Well, men are digging in the London subway, and they unearth several skeletons. It gets into the newspaper as underground ape men.
Mm-hmm. They aren't modern humans.
No. The experts think the skeletons belong to men who walked the earth over 5 million years ago, much earlier than man was actually expected to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Roney shows them a clay reconstruction that does indeed look like a half ape, half man. One of the archaeologists finds something metal buried there, too.
It's an unexploded bomb. So they call in the bomb squad.
Is London. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
it makes sense, yeah.
So the bomb squad can't identify it, so they dig it out more. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Dr. Quatermass is in a meeting arguing with the generals about a base on Mars. Colonel Breen has been assigned to assist him in his efforts to build another rocket. He keeps blowing up the
He
rockets.
just never stops, never gives up, though.
They examine the bomb and find more skulls. The neighborhood
It's
of the...
not a bomb.
No, all this is happening
It's clearly not a bomb by this point.
Yeah. It's all happening in an abandoned neighborhood as people are afraid to live in the area. The policeman...
There's more on that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The policeman says people believe there were ghosts there, and there have been many strange sightings over the years.
Strange noises, events, feelings, creepiness.
They find strange claw marks on one of the houses, and the policeman runs out, terrified.
And it's named Hobbs Lane, which is a nickname for the
Hob
devil.
is, which they mention. Hob is one name for the devil.
Reports go back to at least the 20s. And a digging project back then that they started and abandoned because all the workers were getting too freaked out. So there's some weirdness about the location.
In the area, yeah. Quatermass suspects that the 8 men were not from the Earth, but Roney says no, they definitely were from Earth. Roney's secretary shows Quatermass a report that says there were strange sightings back in 1927 when that particular area of the subway was being dug.
I just said that.
You did.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the colonel has unearthed not a bomb, but what looks like an intact alien spaceship.
So
There's also a
smooth
sealed
and
compartment
seamless.
that no one can open.
And it's indestructible. It
Oh, yeah, they try everything.
Torches and welders and grinders and doesn't scratch. Yeah.
One of the men sees a figure walk through the wall, and it was a horrible creature. The description matches some of the accounts in the secretary's old newspaper articles.
People hallucinating. Small like a hideous dwarf.
Oh, yeah.
Is one of the quotes from the...
After a great deal of drilling, the door finally opens and they see dead bug-like creatures like giant locusts. The bugs are rapidly decomposing and falling apart, so it's a race to get samples and photos. Quatermass notices that the bugs resembled horned demons from legends and gargoyles. The ideas for those creatures had to come from somewhere. I think these are old friends we haven't seen for a time, Roney suggests. Quatermass asks, could this be a Martian? Quatermass then goes to the newspapers and spills the beans about everything, enraging the government. He believes these insects experimented on early apes and helped to evolve mankind.
And
this was
also-
before 2001.
And one thing, too, they do more research on the things happening in the site and church records and everything, things going back to the 1300s even. And then they find a cave painting 30,000 years ago that looks like the creatures.
The bugs have been around.
Yeah, they've been around.
However, the government just claims it's a German propaganda hoax in 1967.
Yeah.
Maybe we're the Martians now, says Barbara the secretary. They hook up the mental projector to her, one of Quatermass's gadgets, and they can see the glimpses of the living Martians on their monitors, recorded in her genetic memories.
Because she seems to be more sensitive to it than a lot of people are. And yeah, so the vision she's having, they can see on a television screen. It's kind of way out. It's kind of bad science.
Yeah, kind of. Upon closer examination, the videos show the Martians at war. They were very warlike and made humans to be the same way. The government, of course, refuses to listen, and they decide to open up everything for public examination. There's an electrical accident, and one of the workmen is killed. The accident also activates something in the ship. There is a mass panic as the ship starts to glow. The ship sucks all the life from Colonel Breen, and is controlling Quatermass's mind. The city starts crumbling and falling apart. It generates a giant electronic vision of a Martian in the sky, and it's only stopped when Roney sacrifices himself to short-circuit the whole system. Boom.
And that poor guy. I mean, the government, when they reject the explanation and say, it's just a German hoax. So it's, and they just kind of all leave, all the army and everybody and the poor drill guy who they brought in some kind of drill that's harder than diamond, and they brought in this specialist, and he couldn't make a dent in it. He has to go back inside for his tools, and that's when the ship starts, it gets him, and that poor guy. And, yeah. He gets a full dose of the telekinesis, telepathy forces that are still lingering.
Dead bugs.
Mm-hmm. So basically, the ship absorbs power and converts it into mental energy. And anyway, I like that.
James Donald is far less grumpy and arrogant than Brian Donlevy in the first two movies.
Mm-hmm.
He's a smart guy, but he doesn't have all the answers. In the two previous films, he had the ear of the police and the higher-ups in the government. In this one, no one listens to him. He has a few ideas, but in the end, Roni is the one who saves the world, not him. He's almost kind of a background character in a lot of this.
Yeah. Mm.
I mentioned last week that I thought the second movie resembled Doctor Who from the 70s.
Well, I think
this is even closer.
I think it was important he was more of a sounding board, using his space knowledge and alien knowledge to figure out. He did a lot to figure out what was going on.
Yeah, he helped.
Yeah.
Anyway, Doctor Who from the 70s, this is even closer. It's even got a proto-brigadier and something like the unit as entities.
Mm.
You'll recognize them very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
This was much closer to the period of Doctor Who I'm talking about, so it seems extremely likely that the third Doctor's situation was influenced by this heavily.
I think so.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
It looks like just another episode with different actors. Could very well be a Doctor Who episode if you switched it around a little bit.
Yeah, have the Doctor instead of Quatermass.
Yep.
Quatermass.
I understand what they were doing with the race memory and genetic traits, but it was a little overblown and a little hard to believe. Would you say bad science?
Yeah, really bad science.
I had seen this one many years ago, and the only thing I remembered was the vision of the big bug in the sky. Most of the details were pretty forgettable.
Colonization by proxy is what Quatermass called it.
So what do you think? Of the three, which one was best and worst?
Second was my favorite.
Mine too.
Yeah, I gotta say.
And I kind of think the third one was the worst.
No, first one was the worst. Third one was...
Third one was color.
Third one was more cerebral. You had to think about... If you think about the third one, you appreciate it more. And the second one is just eye candy entertainment, science fiction, 50s thriller.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we
anyway.
both agree that Quatermass 2 is the best of the trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you should see them yourself and see what you think.
You should.
Yeah.
And while you're seeing things, how about the Moonlight Man?
Ooh,
This week's short from
that was
2016.
creepy. And as a bonus, we went ahead and watched The Moonlight Man 2,
The sequel.
which is out there.
Well, in the first one, a woman walks to her car late at night. She sees the figure of someone with very large fingernails standing there. Freddy Krueger style.
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine style. There's so many people like that now. Edward Scissorhands style. She reaches her car and drops her keys. Before she can pick them up, they vanish. She looks under the car and all around, but they're gone. The strange figure is closer now, and she freaks out and gets into the car, locking the doors. She drops her cell phone, and while she's bent down to try to find it, the figure walks right past the window and she doesn't see it. The doors unlock.
She locks them again.
Yeah, she locks them again real fast. She gets out of the car and finds her keys. Then some bad things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I have here that it's well shot and has good pacing. You know where it's going, but not necessarily how it's going to play out.
It's short and creepy and chilling. And
an entertaining 2.5 minutes.
Really well made. I give it a big thumbs up.
Yeah, I didn't write anything on the second one.
And the same on the second.
I didn't like the second one as much.
4.5 minutes long.
It's longer. What do you think about the second one?
I liked it just as much.
It's long, it's kind of drawn out, and it's got this horrible electric light buzz throughout most of it.
That added to the creepiness.
I found it annoying.
Okay.
Yes, it's realistic. I don't like realism.
Park and ramp. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely watch the first one if you like the first one. It's 4 more minutes for the second one. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Link will be in the show notes for both of them.
Yeah. What else did we see?
Don't breathe.
Don't breathe.
Don't breathe.
Don't breathe.
2016's movie, Don't Breathe. Directed by Fede Alvarez. Written by Fede Alvarez and Rodo Sayugas. Stars Stephen Lang, Jane Levy, and Dylan Minnette. Hour and 28 minutes. Link below to pick it up from Amazon. And of course, all the movies we do review, there's an affiliate link in the show notes. Click on that, pick it up from Amazon. We get a little percentage. Helps pay for the show.
And then continue to do all your shopping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We open on a man dragging a girl down the street by her hair. She appears to be dead. Credits roll. That's like 20 seconds in. 3 friends break into a house and start stealing stuff. When they're done, they set off the alarm and run away.
What?
This is the beginning, the intro to the characters.
Who got dragged down the street? What?
The girl.
Girl dragged... Did I blink? Maybe I was still making notes.
There's no talking. It's just him dragging her, and there's like sirens in the background.
Oh.
Later on, we see her dragging her down the street, too. We come back to that scene.
Well, we see him walking at the beginning.
He's dragging the girl behind him.
I thought he was carrying a luggage cart. Like
It was not a luggage cart.
No, one of them wheelie things with the groceries.
Oh, that's later. Yeah, when the teenagers see him in the beginning, yeah, he's carrying his groceries then.
Okay.
Very first pre-credit scene, he's dragging the girl down the road by her hair.
Okay.
In the neighborhood.
Okay. Huh. I must have still been booting up my computer and taking notes.
Time for a faster computer.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Rocky and they set off the alarm and run away after they break into the house. Rocky and Money is the name of a character, are saving money to leave Detroit for California. Alex says he can't leave because his dad lives there, but he has a big crush on Rocky, a girl. Alex returns the keys to the victim's home to his father's desk. His father runs a security company, and Alex borrows the keys and alarm codes to rob the houses.
They can get into any house that has that alarm system.
That's a pretty good scam if you don't do it too often.
Yeah.
Money gets a tip about a house to rob that has over $300,000 hidden in it. Alex's father just coincidentally runs security on the house so he can get the key. Alex looks up the house on Google and gets the headline, Gulf War veteran reaches 6-figure settlement. Yes, the money sounds real. Let's do this, Alex then texts the other two. They scope out the house and find that the owner is an old blind guy with a pit bull for a dog, as he pulls the luggage rack with his groceries down the street.
Rottweiler.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, those are Rottweiler.
One of them big dogs you don't
Big
want to
dog.
mess with.
Big muscly dog, yeah.
The neighborhood is abandoned, so there are no neighbors anywhere around
Within 4 blocks.
when
Nothing
they
occupied.
decide to come back after dark. And there's lots of scenes of burnt out, abandoned Detroit.
They really did film the exteriors in Detroit, in
Yeah.
a Detroit neighborhood.
And it's pretty abandoned and, not the kind of place you'd want to live, especially if you're blind.
He does, though.
He does.
Yeah.
There's a complication with the locks and the keys, and Rocky ends up having to crawl through the bathroom window and letting the others in. Money then sets off a homemade gas bomb in the old man's bedroom. He should be very asleep by now. They pull out the big tools to break into the locked basement. Alex leaves. He doesn't want to be involved when he sees Money has brought a gun. That changes everything up from robbery to a felony.
Yeah. Plus, it gives the homeowner the right to shoot back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They end up shooting the lock, and the old man comes out of the bedroom asking, "Who's there?" He's obviously not unconscious.
Right.
Didn't look like much of a gas bomb.
No, lame.
He puts something in a bottle of water and pokes a
some
hole in it.
powder. Yeah.
Yeah.
And shook it up and then punched a hole in it, and it started releasing vapor of some kind.
Yeah, I don't know how that would have been anything.
Don't know what that was. Yeah.
One of those magic movie drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the old man moves really fast and gets the gun away from Money, and Money quickly gets his head blown off very fast.
And the 3 of them weren't the brightest, but immediately right there at that point, when they shoot the lock, it's one of those ka-chunk slide locks. Whoops. And he's got it padlocked, but it's locking to keep somebody from getting out of the basement, not, the direction of it is to lock someone in the basement, not lock someone out of the basement, but it is locked with a padlock. All they would have had to do is unscrew the screws. And they're like prying it, and they go, I can't do it, and prying it, and then ended up shooting it, and screwdriver.
They didn't bring a screwdriver.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They brought the gun.
Yeah.
Rocky
They had
hides in the
tools.
closet.
They had tools.
They
with
had
them.
tools.
Yeah.
Rocky hides in the closet. Alex comes back inside and finds Money's body. The old man then padlocks the back door and boards up the bathroom window. He's very handy for a blind man.
And at this point, he only thinks that the blind guy thinks
He
probably
killed the
that
one-
Money is alone.
Yeah.
He doesn't fully realize that Alex and Rocky,
Nobody said
there.
anything, and nobody
Yeah.
made any noise. He
They're-
thinks he's alone.
they're not breathing. They don't breathe. And hence the
They do a lot more than breathing.
Well, yeah.
The old man checks his safe, which is hidden in the same closet where Rocky is hiding.
And
She sees him enter the code
combination.
2978.
Mm-hmm.
Alex and Rocky then open the safe and take the money when they get a chance, but they still can't get out of the house. They stand right next to the old man as he bags up Money's body and gets ready to dispose of it. They go down the stairs into the basement, and while they're down there, the old man finds their shoes, tiptoeing barefoot for silence.
Mm-hmm.
Now he knows they're there.
2 more people.
He checks the safe again and finds the money is gone. Now he's getting a little angry.
Now he's mad.
Meanwhile, in the basement, they find a girl chained up in a padded cell.
Yeah.
They weren't expecting that.
Nobody was expecting that.
There's a newspaper article that says she's the one who killed the blind man's daughter. And we got no backstory on this. This just sort of came out of the blue. We didn't know he even had a daughter.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, that was a settlement.
I thought the settlement was from going blind in Gulf War.
No, the settlement, the money was from his daughter getting killed in a rich family. Did a settlement with him.
All right. There's something I missed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They release her and head for the basement exit. They open the door, and the blind man is outside waiting for them. And he's just the blind man. We never know the guy's name.
With a gun.
He shoots Alex's ear off. He then shoots the prisoner girl, and she dies immediately, which gets the old man surprisingly upset.
Shooting blind. Yeah.
Only way he could.
Literally, yeah. He's still got Money's gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He seals up the door for good, and that's one more way they still can't get out. The old man decides to level the playing field, so he shuts off the power. No more lights.
Pitch black basement.
There's quite a bit of cat and mouse in the dark, and it's done in like low light photography for effect.
Shooting every time he heard
It's
a
not
noise.
black. You can see what's going on.
Oh yeah, they
But
go
you can
to
tell
a
they
gray.
can't.
It's actually that was kind of a neat lighting effect.
Yeah, it's
It was
not the
a gray
usual
light.
green. It's sort of
Yeah.
a black and white, dim black and white.
Mm-hmm,
It was well done.
But here's a point of unrealism too. He's shooting repeatedly in the closed basement. He's blind, and he's like they'd all be deaf. And his hearing is still as super sensitive as ever.
If you wanted people to go deaf every time they shot a gun in an enclosed space, half the actors in TV would be deaf.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they would. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's an unrealistic point in this. Yeah.
They finally find their way out of the basement, only to find that the old man has allowed the dog inside. The dog chases them upstairs, where they barricade themselves in a bedroom. Rocky crawls out through the heating duct, because, all houses all have heating ducts big enough to crawl through.
And this one is huge. Yeah.
If a giant industrial complex has a duct like that, I could maybe let it slide, but not houses.
No.
Houses don't.
Houses don't have ducts big enough for people to climb through.
Alex then falls out through a window out onto a skylight in the kitchen, and right back through the skylight into the kitchen.
Yeah. Back into the house.
Neither of them make it out of the house. The old man catches up to Alex in the laundry room, and they battle rather graphically until the old man puts garden shears through Alex's chest.
Ow. Yeah.
The old man then catches Rocky, and he gets his money back. He knocks her out and sets her up as the new exhibit in his padded cell in the basement. Meanwhile, Alex gets up. Turns out
Not
the old
dead
man
after all.
actually stabbed Money's corpse, not his. How much longer can he last? Because he's pretty well beat up. He's in pretty bad shape.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, in the basement, the old man finally speaks. It's like his first real line.
Yeah.
And explains what was going on with Cindy, the former prisoner in the basement. And it turns out things are about to get a lot more unpleasant for Rocky.
Yeah.
That's as far as I went.
No more spoilers? No more notes?
That's the last of my notes. Well, until the final bit.
Okay. I'm not going to spoil more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we know from the beginning he ends up dragging her down the street. Whether she's dead or not, you'll have to find out.
And I missed that.
You
I missed
you
the
saw at least the
preview
second part.
at the beginning of it. Yeah, I saw the second part. Yeah.
The exteriors of the house were indeed shot in Detroit, but all the interior stuff was shot in Hungary.
It's cheaper to work there, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it must be, but it's just got 4 actors, and the sets were nothing fancy.
And they could have done a.
Union rules or something? I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know.
not sure why
I
that
don't know
would
what
be
the
cheaper.
reasoning was. Yeah.
Well, I've been in old houses like this, and I can't believe that a blind man could live there and not hear the intruders moving around on the squeaky wooden floors.
Except for one point where there's a floor squeak. Other than that, there's no squeaks.
My own house is nowhere near that old and worn down, and I can't even walk to the bathroom silently in the middle of the night. Not even to
Floors
mention
creak.
all the talking that goes on between Alex and Rocky, and the blind man doesn't hear any of it.
Oh, but they whisper. They're whispering.
The name of the movie is Don't Breathe.
Yeah.
There's not really a scene where somebody has to hold their breath or anything like that.
There
They're
is one.
whispering.
There is
around
one
the guy.
point. There is
Well,
one
maybe
point where
once.
where he literally holds his breath. But
Yeah.
other than that, yeah.
Also, they really couldn't get out the locked doors. How about a window? The windows weren't all blocked up.
They were barred. Bars on the windows.
Yeah, okay.
That
All
that
right.
one that she climbed in was the only one
right.
that wasn't
All
barred.
right.
You know.
At one point, the blind man turns off all the power in the house. Yet later, we see lamps on, and the washing machine gets turned on by mistake.
Yeah, at some point the power got turned back on. We don't actually see him do it, and there's no reason he would.
Yeah, but the power's back on. I think it's more of a continuity glitch.
Actually, no, that was later. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Really, though, if there's one old man you do not want to screw with, it's got to be Stephen Lang.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is these kids in this movie were too young to see Avatar. And no, you don't mess
You
with
don't
him.
mess with him.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So it was kind of. I mean, I didn't hate this movie. But
I was more
the-
entertained than I expected to be.
I was entertained, but the three are dumb, and you don't really root for them very much.
Well, how many
Rocky a
houses
little
could you
bit.
break into with this plan and not get caught when they figure out they all got the same security company, and the guy keeps his keys at home?
Yeah.
They're not
They would put
brilliant
it
people.
together,
They're not
yeah.
brilliant thieves to begin with. They're just
Yeah.
dumb teenagers trying to get some money together.
And then
Yes, they were trying to be teenagers.
at first you are sympathetic for the blind guy, but turns out he's a damaged,
yeah,
kind
he's
of
a
awful
psycho
he's
kidnapper person too.
kind of an
so
awful human being too. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, okay.
picking on that poor blind man, and
No,
yeah, it's
so
not that
much.
simple.
Yeah, it's more complicated than that. Yeah.
Well, how about a foreign movie? We see a foreign movie this week?
We did.
The Eye.
The Eye.
2002.
And I had seen the 2000 American remake, 2008.
2006. Oh, 8.
2008. Jessica Alba starred in
What
the
was it called?
remake. The Eye.
Oh, The Eye. Okay.
Yeah, also The Eye.
And there's also an Eye 2 and an Eye 3, which we've
we
not
have
seen.
not seen. Yeah.
Directed by Danny Pang. Written by Yut Jan Hui and Danny Pang.
A Hong Kong movie.
Yes. Stars Angelica Lee, Kucha Rujananan, and Lawrence Chow. 1 hour, 40 minutes. Wong Kar-mun is blind. And as the credits roll, first thing up, she gets an operation on her eyes.
New corneas.
It's As she recovers, Ying Ying, the little girl in bed next to her. How'd you like to be named Ying Ying? Ying Ying, the little girl, visits and says she has a brain tumor and needs a lot of operations. They then remove Mun's bandages so she can see blurry images.
She lost her sight at the age of 2.
Yeah.
So she's been blind a long time.
And throughout the movie, her vision gradually improves. We don't get a lot of details on that. But in the beginning, it's all very blurry.
Mm-hmm.
She talks to Ying Ying again and says they'll go out and play after her operation tomorrow. That night, she sees a blurry black figure approach the old woman in the bed across the room, and the two of them walk out together, the old woman and the black figure.
Mm-hmm.
The figure of the old woman is strangely insubstantial. The next morning...
Well, it's just really blurry. You do kind of see from Mun's point of view.
Yeah.
It's really blurry, really distorted. Her vision is just not there yet. So
Yeah.
it's understandable that, she's just not seeing right yet.
The next morning, they come in and wheel out the old woman who died in the night. Could it have been a ghost?
And Mun says, but I saw her go out with somebody last night. And they're like, no, not this lady.
She's discharged from the hospital, and on the drive home, she sees a man standing in the middle of the highway. Very strange. She's definitely seeing things that other people don't seem to notice. She goes to the therapist to learn how to use her sight.
And basically, he just kind of dismisses the hallucinations because she's been blind since 2. Her brain doesn't know how to process vision. And that's
He holds
part
up
of
a
his
stapler and says, "What is this thing?" And she can't tell him. She's not been able to see for all the... I mean, she knows what a stapler is, but by sight, she can't recognize
she would
it.
recognize what a stapler is, but she can't cognizant, can't make the connection yet with things. And he says, "Oh, that's why you're seeing things."
Her eyes work, but she doesn't really understand what she's seeing. That's proved. She can do that.
Yeah.
She then gets fired from the all-blind orchestra.
Yeah,
as
which
she
is
no
kind
longer
of sad.
qualifies.
Yeah, she's no longer qualified to be in the blind orchestra.
Congratulations, you're fired.
Yeah, we're all happy for you. Yay! Okay, get out now. Wasn't that harsh, but the director has a talk with her. Like, well,
you can't stay here.
You
You're
can't
not
stay here anymore. Yeah.
She starts seeing photos and furniture appear and disappear that aren't really there. Her room starts to change to a different room. The little boy across the hall keeps asking her if she's found his report card. We learn later that he committed suicide not long before because his parents didn't believe that he'd lost his report card. Those Asians take their grades seriously.
Very seriously, yeah.
Part of her confusion, at least at the beginning, is because she doesn't understand what she is supposed to be able to see and what's real and what isn't. She's never seen anything before, so it's hard to know what's unusual. When she's finally attacked by a scary ghost at the calligraphy teacher's, and he says he didn't see a thing, she realizes something ain't quite right.
Yeah.
She's seeing a lot more ghosts now, and she runs into a woman that asks, "Can you see them too?"
Oh yeah, that was at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sees the owner's wife and kid, the ghosts come to the counter,
and nothing ever goes anywhere with this other woman.
No, it doesn't. No.
She's apparently not the only one who can do it, but that doesn't really matter.
But it does help Mon figure out that, not hallucinating. I'm seeing ghosts.
Yeah,
because this other woman is, I see them too, but he doesn't see them, and and nobody else does. Yeah.
A ghost of a little boy runs right through her, and then she sees a crowd gathering and sees that the little boy is laying on the ground dead. He was hit by a car only seconds before. It's like she realizes he was dead before the kid did. She sees a man in black come and collect the boy.
And very blurry, distorted, but basically that's...
it becomes clear that the man in black is some kind of Grim Reaper type figure.
Yeah. Or like the Reapers from Supernatural, where there's a bunch of them.
Only with better effects.
Yeah.
She tells the doctor what's been going on. She screams that he doesn't believe her.
But he's starting to fall in love with her, too.
Dr. Lowe does...
There's a little romance falling there. Yeah.
Dr. Lowe does go and talk to his uncle, the other Dr. Lowe, who was the surgeon who performed the transplant. And after the conversation, maybe he does believe her a little bit. She goes home and finds her sister and grandmother burning a report card in a can in front of the apartment building. Is it that report card? It's never explained.
It isn't, but it makes you wonder.
I think that may be one of those Chinese cultural things that a Chinese person would understand and we just didn't get.
Yeah.
They're burning they found the report card. They know they made a mistake. They're burning it to appease the spirit. Except we see the little boy again after this, so they didn't solve the problem. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure why that scene was there.
And it's never...
If the boy had been, released, fine. But he wasn't.
And some of the spirits, the Grim Reaper figure comes for them, and some seem to stay.
Well, it is explained that later on they explain that some ghosts...
if they have unfinished business.
Unfinished business, like a report card.
Unresolved. Yeah.
She winds up back in the hospital. There's a very strange scene where she's playing the violin very strenuously. And there's this man in a yellow raincoat with this little dial of something, and that did not make any sense to me either.
It was like a numerology
Might be an I Ching thing, but I don't know. So anyway, somehow or another, she overworks herself and winds up back in the hospital. And once again, she sees Ying Ying, who now says that she can leave the hospital.
Fainted. Yeah, she was playing the violin so vigorously.
Too long or too hard and passed out.
Fainted, yeah.
So Ying Ying now says she can leave whenever. The man in black is standing behind Ying Ying, who Mun quickly realizes is dead. The two figures then walk off together. The doctor comes out of the ER to tell her that Ying Ying just died, But Munn already knew that.
Yeah, never mind, I know.
The other doctor, he may start believing this as well, because she's very convincing.
Mm-hmm.
Munn starts to accept that this ability may be a good thing. She can talk to dead people. That's not bad.
It's a human, yeah.
She finally sees a photo of herself and says, "Who is that?" Turns out when she looks in the mirror, she's been seeing the eye donor's face, the cornea woman.
Yeah.
That's not what she sees in the mirror. It's not
herself. And that's
herself.
kind of an unexpected twist.
The two Dr. Lows start talking about the donor. The younger doctor and Munn go to Thailand to get more information about the donor girl.
Mm-hmm. They track down where she came from and go to see who she was and what that was
They
about.
visit a hospital where Dr. Eek, the Thai doctor, works, and Munn recognizes a few things, even though she's never been there before.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Eek sees the patient records and recognizes the information. Oh, it's her.
Oh.
Munn tells him that she can see things, and he understands with no argument at all.
Mm-hmm.
No convincing there. He knows more than he's saying.
Yeah.
The
and
donor-
There's a reason for that.
The donor, Ling, used to be able to foresee death, and the locals treated her like a witch. She once predicted a terrible fire, but no one listened to her, and many died.
Mm-hmm.
Ling eventually hanged herself in guilt. Ling's room is the room that Munn had been seeing in her visions. She ends up spending the night in Ling's room and waits to be contacted. She then has a very detailed flashback of Ling's hard life, followed by her suicide. It turns out that Ling reenacts her own suicide every single night at 3 a.m. because her mother won't forgive her. Unfinished business.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother and Ling, through Munn, apologize to each other, and Ling finally finds peace. Munn and Dr. Lowe head back home on the bus.
Happy ending, all done.
On the way,
Or is it?
the bus stops in traffic. Munn thinks it's all over until she starts seeing a bunch of black shadows walking down the street.
The Reapers are
It's
coming.
a Reaper convention.
Mm-hmm.
She gets off the bus and sees a crashed fuel truck up ahead on a crowded bridge full of passenger buses.
It was some kind of gas tanker, like liquid or vapor gas.
Vapor gas, yeah.
Not a gasoline truck. But
And it's got a leak. It's like
leaking
all over the road with this
leaking
gas.
invisible gas
Yeah.
that nobody sees.
Whatever's going to happen is going to be big, as there are Reapers everywhere. Munn runs around telling people to run away, but no one listens. It's like she beats on the car windows, and people just and
Yeah.
don't even listen, don't even roll down the window.
What's she saying? I don't know.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Nobody.
No one sees the gas
I can see-
leak. Then it explodes, and hundreds die. Munn gets sprayed with some glass in her eye, going blind again. A happy ending for Munn. Sorta.
Hmm.
What'd you think?
Mon and Dr. Lowe end up.
Yeah, they do.
All in all, I liked it.
I liked it, yeah.
I liked the American version too.
I did not see the American
Yeah,
version yet.
yeah,
But
yeah.
of the two, then, since you saw both, which would you recommend first?
Well, there's that ending.
The ending in this movie is hundreds of people die in the explosion. What happens in the American version?
It follows the story very closely with the events that unfold, and they go down. It's they go down to Mexico, where the Ling character, where the donor character lived and died, and then they're on their way back up. And
So we got a
it's the same
Mexican
kinda-
person instead of a Thai person? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And then they're coming back up in the same kind of thing where they're stuck in traffic and like there's an accident up ahead and she starts seeing crowds and crowds of Reapers coming in. Except she finally gets through to them and starts a stampede of people running and they get away from the explosion. She takes glass in the eye again and goes blind again at the end, but she saves everybody.
So, a happier. Americans get a happy ending,
Yeah.
Chinese get the bad
And
ending.
I was kind of surprised that it's going to blow up? What? They're all going to die? No. Yeah, it's a Hong Kong movie for you, I guess.
Chinese people are nihilists.
Yeah, it was grim.
They all die at the end.
Yeah, they did.
Not everybody.
Yeah. And then I believe in the American version she gets back in the orchestra because she's blind again. I think that's how it ended, showing her playing in the orchestra again.
Didn't they show that in this one?
Didn't they?
I think they did, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, she can be in the
So it is sort of a happy ending for her. Blind, she wasn't unhappy.
And she ends up with Dr. Lowe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole plot about being able to see for the first time was handled intelligently, and I would have been entertained had this not even been a horror movie.
Yeah.
Angelica Lee is very good in the role as Munn. The film is well paced and slow moving. It never gets boring, but it does build up slowly. That's a good thing.
But it's nice.
The ghosts and special effects are very good. Very creepy.
Yeah.
Most of the ghosts are understated and non-violent, but they are definitely weird. There's not a lot of gore until the very end when we get some very detailed, gratuitous shots of people burning to death. You want to see some cooked people? It's a good one.
Yeah.
I expected that at some point one of the Grim Reapers would notice her and maybe cause some trouble, but that never happened.
No, they didn't seem to
I
care.
didn't understand the bit with the report card or the man in yellow with the wheel. If that was the cause of the boy becoming a ghost, why did we see him after they burnt it? I don't get that one at all. If you know why, let us know. Comment, send me an email, comment in the area below.
Explain that for us.
Yeah, I would like to know more about what that was about. There are a lot of unanswered questions, some of which may come from Chinese culture that I didn't quite pick up on. Still, I thought it was very entertaining, and I recommend it.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
And now I want to see the I 2 and 3.
I too? Wouldn't that be me too?
I 2, me too.
I too.
Me too. Me 3.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I want to see more.
Yeah.
So does she. She's blind, you know?
Yeah.
I went there.
Yeah, you did.
And that's our show.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Stop in at horrorguys.com, read the reviews, check the links, and you want to study for next week? We're going to have more movies. We will have...
Two Wolfmans.
Ooh, The Wolfman from 1941. Our somewhat contemporary classic, The Devil's Rejects from 2005.
Never saw that.
I saw that one at the theater when it came out. The newer movie, The Wolfman from 2010. So we're going to watch the old Wolfman. We're going to watch the new Wolfman.
Is that the Benicio del Toro
Yeah, it
one?
is, yes. And Anthony Hopkins and
Uh-huh.
some other people, big names.
Big names. Big names.
This was the one that was going to relaunch the Universal Monster
big
universe.
names, not such a big hit.
Didn't work so well, yeah.
Yeah.
And our international feature will be Revenge from 2017. You know what country that is?
I thought it was Australia, but I'm not sure of that.
Oh, okay. I was thinking French. I guess we'll find out when we see it.
We'll find out.
Give those a watch this week and see if your opinion matches ours next week.
Yeah.
Check out Twitter feed at @HorrorBulletin, our Facebook group at Horror Guys Podcast, and of course the website at horrorguys.com. I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.